We're starting with you and the Seattle Seahawks. What makes your checklist?
All right, let's start out at the most important position. And it starts out with, show me, Geno does it again. That's Geno Smith, one of the best stories in the NFL last season. Nobody even knew he was on the Seahawks for a lot of people in a lot of places in the country. Came out through 30 touchdown passes, had him on the brink of the playoffs. He got a big raise after the season on a new contract, but it's very much still a prove-it type of deal. He's got no guaranteed money into 2024. Really good fit for Shane Waldron's offense. He gets the ball out on time to the right place. Can he do it again? It's going to be a huge factor in Seattle's season. Number two, we got to get those rookies rolling, and they got a couple of first-round picks. Still surfing off the Russell Wilson trade. They took Devin Witherspoon, the cornerback, at number 5 overall, play him opposite Tariq Woolen. Then number 20, they took Jackson Smith and Jigba, play him with TK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, potentially a really good wide receiver core. Last year's draft by John Schneider was unbelievable. The amount of productivity they got out of it. If this is another good draft class, they may have built the foundation for another really good run in Seattle. And then finally, we got to get Prez reigning again. Remember Jamal Adams, the guy who was traded for a couple of first-round picks, got a big money contract with Seattle. Only saw him for one game last year, suffered a torn quad. He's still only 27 years old. Pete Carroll's been non-committal about whether or not he's even going to be ready for this season. But we've seen flashes of how impactful Jamal Adams can be. That's why Seattle gave up all that to get him once he comes back healthy. And if he can stay healthy, Jamal Adams is still one of the most important players in that entire Seahawks roster.
Thank you.
Well,
let's unveil them. The Arizona Cardinals, that is my team right now. What's a successful season for the Cardinals in 2023? They're not making the playoffs, okay? Let's just get that out of the way. So that's not even going to be on the list. So what am I looking for? Shot out of a Gannon. Now, Jonathan Gannon, boy, he got a ton. Thank you. He got a ton of flack in Philadelphia from a fan base that was just never sold on him because he just didn't blitz enough at times. And then the performance in the Super Bowl. Then there was the tampering thing. And then you had that video clip early that went viral of sorts of him talking shots. And listen, if you're going to make a snap judgment about a head coach based on what you see early from a press conference or an interview, just remember what we thought about Nick Sirianni after his opening press conference. Gannon used to work for Sirianni. How's that working out? Kyler Murray. I want a happy Kyler. I want Kyler to feel good about this regime moving forward because there's just been so many bad vibes for him the last couple of years. So far, this coaching staff, this new regime, they showed up at his statue unveiling. They want to make sure that they understand they are behind him. They support him. Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, is going to set him up in a position to succeed. I don't know when he's going to be on the field, but I want him leaving 2023 feeling good about this regime and everything moving forward.
How about healthy?
Finally, they'll always have Paris Johnson, their left tackle that they traded for. Don't cover your face with your cards, Tom. That's a great one right there. Anybody watching ever seen Casablanca? Have you seen Casablanca? That's the question. Have you seen it?
No, absolutely not.
See, nobody cares. A hill of beans about what you think then. Paris Johnson, this is a guy that Kyler Murray, on Johnson's visit, Kyler went up to him and said, I'm telling these guys, we got to draft you. He wanted some protection from his offensive line. He got Paris. If he turns in an excellent rookie season, they'll say we've got ourselves a left tackle of the future moving forward.
All right, on your checklist should have been, let's try to beat the 49ers, because that's the team that I've got. And listen, for the 49ers, number one, this is the hardest of all. Can you run it back? Look, that flight home from Philadelphia for Kyle Shanahan and this team after their quarterbacks got knocked out of the game against the Eagles, they all felt cheated. All right, they felt like they didn't get a real shot at it. All right, well, Kyle, listen, you got to run it back. You got to run it back. Get this group back on track, all right? And here's the thing. Not just running back offensively. I'm talking about defensively, all right? The best defense in the league last year, the number one scoring defense. Can they do that again? D'Amico Ryan's now in Houston, so now Steve Wilks has to take over. Can Steve Wilks run it back? All right, the power of the Wilks. All right, that's what's going to have to happen here. I think defensively, look, Fred Warner, arguably one of the best linebackers in the league right now. So he's no doubt got his veterans getting everybody on the same page, but it's not easy. I will say this, they were 6-0 in that division, all right? So that's how you run it back. Number two, gold rush, all right? It's all about the gold rush, not the movement, everybody moving to California in search of gold. It's the way that these guys carry the football. It's the punishing way with which the offensive players, running backs, receivers, tight ends, after they catch the football, they're so hard to bring down. Look at Deebo Samuel. All right, we've got a receiver in the league that's got more rushing yards than any receiver in the NFL since 2019. And we've got a running back who had more receiving yards than any running back in the NFL last year. So we've got guys that are very versatile, position flexibility. Running backs, tight ends. I didn't even mention George Kittle right here. George Kittle had 11 receiving touchdowns, career high year. all these players can do different things with the ball in their hands. They are violent runners. So the gold rush, there we go. Nick at Night. Anybody know who led the league in sacks last year? That's right, Nick Bosa. All right, 18 and a half sacks last year, led the league. Also led the league in quarterback hits and pressures. So he's got to have another great year for Nick. Obviously, he's about staying healthy. Nobody takes better care of their body than Nick. But Nick at Night is a little tribute to a little show that I used to watch. You all used to watch on Nickelodeon, right? Nick at Night. It's a great TV program. The 49ers have 5 primetime games. You know how many 1 o'clock games the 49ers have this season?
They play on the West Coast.
4. Yeah, but 4 1 o'clock games. So they're going to have all kinds of night games. Nick at Night, he's got to have a day.
I'll wrap things up with the Rams because there was a serious slump after the Super Bowl. We want to see McVay get his swagger back and the Rams get their swagger back. And obviously, that starts with the man up top here. Stafford stays healthy. Got to have it on the checklist. He played just 9 games last year. In more than a decade, it was the fewest yards, the fewest touchdowns he's thrown. But here's the good news for Matthew Stafford. He's been out there. He's been a full participant in minicamp, in the offseason workouts. Stafford is going to be back. And then I could have made this the entire list, but I'll group this all into number 1 on the checklist. He needs Cooper Kupp to return to health. He needs that offensive line, which was severely banged up last year. I mean, they had guys starting at the end of the year that weren't even on the team at the beginning of the year. So that's sort of this triumvirate up top about those guys staying healthy. But it starts with Stafford, who will be 35. Number 2, they need to have Kobe Durant step up. The big news this offseason for the Rams, Jalen Ramsey heads out to South Beach. Kobe Durant, in a rookie season last year, came up big for this team, especially late in the year. Last 4 games, he had 2 interceptions. He ran one back for a touchdown. He led the league in yards, return yards after interceptions. They need this guy to be the star that they think he can be to take Jalen Ramsey's place. And then how about this? Just a return to the end zone. When they went to the Super Bowl 2 years ago now, they had 52 total offensive touchdowns, 32 last year. So they went from 52 to 32. But here was the biggest difference, bigger than that discrepancy. When it comes to receiving touchdowns, 41 receiving touchdowns. That year they went to the Super Bowl, just 16 last year, which is insane when you think about that drop off. But apparently it helps when your quarterback is healthy and your star receiver is healthy and they have an offensive line. So it really all goes back to number 1 on that checklist, which is they got to have Matthew Stafford and company healthy. He's 35 years old, which, by the way, you know how some people, like, the age sneaks up on you? When I looked that up today, 35, I'm like, God, he seems, I mean, I know he's been around for a long time and he was in Detroit for such a long time, but I just think of Matthew Stafford as just this young guy. I don't know.